After 6 years of being a minimalist, my life has changed a lot, but in a good way. However, there was a time where I thought I would never master the art of decluttering because I was a guy who wasn't tidy, didn't care about organizing, and so it just felt daunting. But fast forward to today, our home eventually turned out to this. Minimal, simple, and a place that I love to be in. But of course, I didn't start there. My wife and I had so much junk, and it got even worse when we had kids. But eventually, when it was unbearable, we knew we needed to declutter. And once we decluttered, well, we started to realize that there were things that we thought we needed extra of, but really, we only needed one. So the first one, I want to start with a late addition. We're a family of 5 and I work full time. My wife stays at home. I need to go into the office about 3 days a week. But during the pandemic, I worked at home only. So at that time, I was barely using my car. We were only using the minivan, and there were multiple moments where I was like, what if we just used one car? I kept pushing it off. We brushed it off for a long time, but I realized I kept needing to sink money into this car. And so the car just sat here for almost 2 years because one day I drove the car. It was like 5:45 in the morning, and when I went to leave the gym, the car didn't start. Went to the mechanic. Despite everything that they tried, they just didn't know what was wrong with the car. So my fear of being stuck again, I just left it over there on the side of the house. And finally, we knew somebody who wanted the car and was willing to try and fix it for themselves. So I just thought, what the heck? Take the car. So I got rid of the car. Mind you though, we have been only using one car for almost 2 years. So we were basically used to it. And it's even more proof that it's doable if you just try. Were you raised in a home where you had like seasonal bed sheets? So like fall you had one, and then summer maybe some cooler ones, or even just multiple bed sheets in general. And then the linen closet was stuffed to the brim so you could never get it closed. Well, I kind of grew up like that. Mind you, Carlene and I, when we first got married, we only had one set. But then there was a point where we started to think about maybe we should have another one, an extra one. But then I realized, why?
Hey babe.
Yeah, what's up?
I think we should get another set of bed sheets.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Wait, why? We've had one set for years now, and we've really never run into a problem. If anything, it makes us more diligent about cleaning them as often as we can. And it's basically the same thing in our kids' room. Right now, we're actually washing their sheets, but we've never really run into a problem where we need extra. I know what you're about to say. What about if they pee on themselves? Well, in that case, they sleep with us for the night, we wash their sheets, right back to normal. Even here in the baby's room, he doesn't need much. He just has his mattress, it has the sheet over it. When it gets dirty, we clean it. That's it. So I've never once said, I really need one more set of pillows. But I know that some people actually take having extra pillows pretty seriously. But we've really also never had more than one set of pillows. I mean, if you need to get new ones, then just replace them, in my opinion. And truthfully, even since we bought a home, a bigger home to stay in where we can actually host people, we really haven't had people stay over that often. And I don't think there's any harm in just saying, hey, when you come, bring your own pillows. Let's try that again. Hey, I'm really excited that you're coming, but would you mind just bring your own pillows? So some of you might be thinking, man, that's unrealistic, but we've only really had people once or twice a year stay over, and I just don't see the point of having unnecessary clutter storing in our closets just for in case. I actually remember thinking about when I'd get married and then eventually own a home that I might need some type of setup for tools. And I actually felt a little bit intimidated and overwhelmed thinking about it because I was not handy growing up. I'm way over my head. I didn't learn a lot of handy things when I was growing up, so you can imagine how daunting it was for me to have to try to learn some of these things on my own and then not knowing what I needed or didn't need. I've gone to a lot of friends' houses, seen their setups, seen their toolkits, and seen how they had multiple setups, and I'm like, is this what I need? But then I had to think realistically, what are the actual home projects that I'm actually gonna try on my own? What tools do I really need? So my brother gifted me this toolbox about 8 years ago, and I've kept everything that I've ever needed in there. And I've decluttered an enormous amount of extra stuff doing the mince game that I could just have justified needing an extra toolbox for, just to keep the extra stuff. And as I now like to always say, only So I have to brag that my wife has gotten pretty amazing in the kitchen, but there was a time where she wasn't that great.
What?
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Now I suck at cooking. I'm not saying that she needed to be great, but she wanted to be the one that cooked most. So I'm not gonna fight you on that. When we started to get more stuff for the kitchen because we wanted to cook more, do more stuff at home, we started to get single-use items a lot, things that we could only use once or only used once in general.
I'm sorry.
There was even a point where we considered multiple pot sets because you'd have like the cast iron set and then maybe just like a stainless steel set that is used for certain foods or whatnot. So we started to think maybe we should have multiple pot sets. Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing.
But now we literally only have one pot set, and that has done perfectly well. Realizing we only need one to do most of the stuff that we like to do in the kitchen, so that's fine. So I do want to learn new recipes. I know cooking is therapy for some, but for me, it's kind of overwhelming. I'm in way over my head. So it was literally 6 years ago when we first had Mila, and I was kind of like a part-time stay-at-home dad, but worked part-time. And Carlene was working full-time. She had to go back to work. And there was a point where she really wanted to stay at home to be with Mila. She felt like she was missing out. So I started to look for an additional job. And mind you, I really didn't have a super professional job before this moment. And the guy who was mentoring me not only helped me find a job, but he's like, look, you need a suit. I'm gonna buy you your first suit. So I had my first suit and I really loved it. And eventually I landed that job. I worked there for 8 months. And then as soon as the 8 months came up, my mentor actually hired me for his company. So it's funny how that works out. And it was an amazing opportunity and it increased my income by a lot. But despite increasing my income, I still only kept one suit. I love that it eliminates the thinking out of what am I gonna wear today? And I have never once been told, hey, you wore that suit last time. Never once. And even if they did notice, I don't care. I like that it helps me focus on what's in front of me and not about what everyone's thinking about what I'm wearing. I do actually want to replace this suit because I've had it for so long, but as soon as I get a new one, I am decluttering this one. So I'm not gonna have 2 suits. I've had a few jackets though, and though I thought they were really stylish, they were a little cheesy and oversized.
Yeah, they were.
And when we decluttered everything, Carlene insisted maybe you consider getting rid of those. So I'm glad I did. However, I wanted one blazer, and this is the one that I have. And you know what's funny? I've had 2 holiday work parties. I wore the same blazer to both of them. And each time I went, someone said, wow, that's a really nice blazer. Where'd you get it from? No one knew or even remembered that it's the same one that I wore last time, despite how noticeable it is. So 90% of the time, people aren't worried about what you're wearing. I live in Florida and it's hot almost all year round. So I never really got a bunch of sweaters or sweatshirts, but I did have one that I had over 10 years and it was pretty worn out. So Carlene was like,
It's time.
Carlene got her Peloton, she got some free merchandise, and this sweater is one of the sweaters that I got from that. And it's the only sweater that I've had for 3 years. You could tell it's fading, but I don't wear it a ton. And that's the beauty of just being content with the things that I've got. So I only need one of those. So I was never the type to collect shoes. I was never that guy who got the latest editions of the Jordans or the Nikes or all those different types. However, I still had a lot of shoes that I didn't wear a lot, shoes that I was actually gifted that I never used, but I still convinced myself that maybe one day I'd need them or find a matching outfit for them. But despite not being a shoe guy, I still had a hard time letting go of them. And when I did get rid of them about 6 years ago, I purposefully only kept one pair of just everyday wear shoes, one workout shoes, which I replace whenever they get worn out, and then basketball shoes. Now there are moments where I'm like, maybe I want some more style or whatever, but I can tell you, but even if I am impressed by somebody's shoes for a moment, I don't go home thinking about what their feet were clothed with.
Baby, why you playing with my love? I'm trying to be patient with you now. I'll never be sober
episode of 90 Day Fiance. So why should I buy something for somebody's 90-second appreciation when 90% of the time they're worried about themselves and their own life? So I recently went on a work trip to St. Croix, beautiful island, beautiful place. Maybe you guys saw some of the photos I posted. And I was there for 4 days, but guess what I packed? 4 underwear, 1 dress shirt, 1 polo, 1 black shirt, 3 socks, 1 dress shoe, 1 normal shoes, and then just toiletries. And all of it fit into this bag. I don't even have a suitcase of my own to travel with, and I don't even really need it because everything fits in here. I even brought my laptop to edit videos and it all fit in there. I've done this for years, and what I used to do is I used to pack for every single possible scenario that might come up. What if we go in the pool? What if we go horseback riding? And I've always packed gym clothes, and you wanna know the one thing I've never done on vacation or trip? Go to the gym. So from this, I started to really learn what I actually needed when it comes to travel. So if you're new to all this, you probably need to learn some new habits that can help you get to a place where you don't have clutter just closing in on you. So this video is gonna help you do that, and I'll see you all soon.